is I'm gonna be yapping about a whole lot of handheld stuff mostly, and I wanted to start with CES talk. There was a lot I mentioned from CES. I think I mentioned like all of the gaming handhelds basically, right? The Acer Nitro, the new Legion stuff, the what's it called? Um, the the new XG Mobile that's going to be usable on all of the gaming handhelds. The sightings of the Switch 2 or the Switch 2 mock-ups at CES. I think I talked about all of that. The Atari Game Station, the My Arcade products in general. But I kind of wanted to wrap up. Like, I wanted to talk about the things I thought were the coolest. The three pieces of tech, mainly handheld tech, that I think is really cool from CES that I didn't talk about enough, or maybe I did and I just want to yap some more about them. And there's really only three. I guess there's four if you consider one as like an honorable mention because it kind of gets roped in with the article. We'll just get right into them. I think I'm gonna work from like least to most known about. So we'll start with the Mecha Comet. I'm sure most of you guys did not see this at CES. I'm sure no one saw this. This is like a little Linux mini PC. And it has two USB ports and an Ethernet port, and it has this very interesting rail system where you're going to be able to use it for different things, right? You're going to be able to use it to get into like a command console and use it with a QWERTY keyboard. You're going to be able to use it for small, maybe indie or lightweight game creation or gaming in general, and then whatever the fuck this. I don't know, man. But this is a cool little interesting computer. And the fact that it has multiple different extensions is really cool. It also has an open source design. So these pins, this 40 IO pins, the in-out pins, you're going to be able to use it to make other things, right? Look, talking about using it as a Linux phone, a car whisper, an AI assistant, a drone launch / remote, a nano satellite, a DIY robot, a radio head. Like this can be so many different things. And it's just truly up to the user what it can be because it's on an open source design that others can build on. And I love that. It's also built on an open source platform, Linux, where there could be tons of different utilities for this device if it's powerful enough. Now, I don't know what is in it when it comes to the specifications. I have no idea. Here it is. It's an ARM processor with 32 gigabytes of eMMC flash storage, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, 40-pin IO. Oh, it's actually M.2. I thought it was eMMC, but I guess I was wrong. It has a 5 megapixel camera and a 3.5-inch touchscreen with 6-axis gyroscope. That's very cool. Right? It's not the most powerful PC ever, clearly, because it's an ARM-based chip, but it is running on Mechanics, which is a form of Linux, and it's going to have a lot of different applications that aren't like the traditional gaming handheld, right? This is definitely something that can be used for way different types of software and computing needs. And I think it's really cool. It's very interesting. And I saw it and I was like, wow, like I hadn't seen nobody talk about this, but this is like definitely in the weeds for the nerds. I mean, if you're a fucking nerd, you probably think this thing's pretty cool now that I've showed it to you. So hopefully people who didn't know what this was or haven't seen it at all now know what it is. And you can even go look at the Kickstarter. Kickstarter pre-launch. You can even go look at the Kickstarter and see if there's a way to get it now. Nope, it's a pre-launch. It's not even launched yet. But maybe it already hit its goal, or I guess that was it hasn't launched the Kickstarter goal yet. But there's 10,000 people watching, waiting to see when it launches. So that's pretty cool. At least 10,000 other people are interested in this device. The other thing I saw, this one is a little more mainstream, but still less so. There's a lot of retro emulation handhelds. And they're all built for like basic retro emulation when it comes to like D-pad or one arcade stick, one analog stick, and all of the basic buttons you would need for up to, I don't know, let's say PS2 and GameCube emulation, right? That's like the norm if you're looking for like a cheap mid-range gaming handheld that's not like the Odin line or the Retroid line or like the Aya Neo Pocket line. We'll be speaking about an Aya Neo device later. You usually get up to around GameCube, PS2, Wii, PSP, right? And this is more catered towards very old systems, right? It's going to be like Atari 2600, Atari 5600, Jaguar, even possibly Amiga and Intellivision. right? There's no Intellivision games apparently on the base software that people have already got to see, but it has a lot of old design to it, right? It has the trackball, it has the paddle, it has a number pad for all of those older consoles that would use this, and this is the Game Station Go. So this is something that I thought was cool, and I showed it to my very normie, not super gamer wife, and she also thought it was neat and said, hey, I kind of want one. So we'll at least be getting one of these devices for sure. It's big. It's got like an 8-inch screen, and as you can see, it's like a huge handheld, right? It's like it looks like it's about the same size as something like a Steam Deck. It has front-firing speakers. It has L and R 1 and 2, and then it has start, select, settings, credit. Settings is probably for like the emulation layer that's in there somewhere, so you can go back to home and all that. And it has this cool thing called Smart Glow technology where only the controls you need are gonna light up, which is lame for people who really like RGB. But if you just want to know what controls you need to use, very interesting, very cool. So if a game only requires the trackball and the number pad, that'll light up. If it only requires A, B, and the D-pad, that'll light up. Or if it only requires the paddle and A, that'll light up. Or L and R and the ball, that'll light up. I think that's very cool, and it makes for an interesting way to kind of teach people and get people into older games who had never played them before. Because I know people who are younger than me who have been gaming their whole life, and of course they've never played an Atari, right? Atari happened before the great video game crash, thanks E.T., where Nintendo became the new and most popular gaming publisher and game console manufacturer. This was all before that. So if you're new to gaming, you know, if you weren't born at the eve of it when you were gaming on Magnavox Odysseys and fucking Ataris, then a lot of these games are going to be new to you. They're not all great quality, but it's a very interesting thing to be able to look back on and play and touch upon whenever you want to, especially in like now in a handheld form where you can bring these games over to your friend's house or with you on the go and just show younger people or even older people who are barely getting into gaming a lost bygone era of gaming, because these things don't even get emulated much either. I think it's gonna be launching at like $149, which is pretty cool. So it's gonna launch under $200, and they're doing a bunch of stuff as well, right? They're gonna have look, you see how those are glowing? They're gonna have other devices, but this is the main one I was thinking about. Oh wow, I didn't know that they were that little. I didn't know they were that cheap, I should say. It has HDMI out for connecting to a TV. It has 2 controller ports on the back for like connecting controllers, and it has a kickstand, so you can use it as like a little retro mini console, which is pretty cool. But this is the other device that I thought was super cool from CES. Out of all of the devices that I could like, it's not the Acer Nitro Blaze, but the last one is a PC handheld, and it's probably without a doubt the most obvious, because as you guys know, if you don't know, I own a Legion Go. I really like the Legion. There's some problems with it that maybe I'll get into at some point. I'll talk about later on another YouTube video or something, just yap about them, because they are problems, but everything else I like about it. It's the Legion Go 2, right? The Legion Go S is interesting. I'll say it now. Being a non-detachable version of the Legion Go, but possibly having the same specs, right? Because you can get it with the Z1 instead of getting it with the Z2 Go, and coming in white and having a smaller trackpad. But what makes the Z2 Go, or the Legion Go S really interesting is the first official Steam powered device, SteamOS powered device, right? That's what makes the Legion Go S cool. The Windows version is just like a big white Ally. That's all it is, right? The ROG Ally, Asus moved away from white, and Lenovo moved towards white, right? That's really the only difference here. But I think the Legion Go 2 is very interesting. And I think what makes me interested in this device, there's a few things. It's getting VRR, a native landscape display, OLED. It's still going to stay 144 hertz, but they cut the display, which sucks for people who like integer scaling, but it makes sense for everyone else. It's going to a 1200p display, a 1920 by 1200p, 16 by 10 display. And all of that is already very interesting. In a recent Q&A with a developer for it, or a marketing leader, they were talking about potentially even having a fingerprint reader the same way they have for the Asus ROG Ally devices. And that would be very cool to get into Windows quickly, so that you're not waiting around for, you know, tapping on the screen to type in your PIN or your password. And I think that's very cool as well. The as you guys can see, the RGB around the thumbsticks looks different. It's very vibrant. It's bigger. It's brighter. When you look at these, they're very small. See if I can get that into frame. There's a little ring around that. If I turn it on, you'll see the RGB, but like, it's very small. Very not noticeable. It's not a lot of RGB, truly. But those are way more bold, so people who like the RGB and want to keep it on, they can do that, and they're getting more light because of it, which is cool. Trackpad still on there. The controllers look more ergonomic, and the most interesting part, this part is very interesting. I see an additional button, or an additional 2 buttons. I see 6 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons instead of only 4. The original Legion Go doesn't have a home button, like a Windows button or an Xbox button or a PlayStation home button, whatever you want to call it. It does not have that button. You have to do it via software, and the Legion software kind of sucks, right? So like that's very frustrating, a little annoying, but it looks like maybe they tried to solve that. The D-pad looks a lot better because the D-pad's kind of shit. It's got like the disc style D-pad, but with the cross on top. The controls are more ergonomic. As you see here, they don't have like this big thing jutting out into your fucking hand. This shit doesn't hurt me. I have palms of steel. I'm not a little bitch, but that shit is kind of sharp if you are a bitch. So like I could see how some people, your palm doesn't properly reject on this or like sit on this. Instead, it like pushes into your palm, and maybe that could hurt. It doesn't hurt me, but I do like the idea of potentially more ergonomic controllers. And these True Strike controllers are supposed to be sold separately, is what they said in a Q&A. So if they sell these separately, I could get the cool new RGB and the more ergonomic controls. I think I'm cool with that. Yeah, here is the video. It says fast facts. This video is 21 minutes. It was not fast at all. Not fast at all. They lied when they said fast. Like, this is just not true. I don't know who they're trying to trick, who they're lying to, but it's not fast. And then they also talked about the Z2 Go chip in the Legion Go S, and the Z2 Go is somewhere between the Steam Deck and the Z1 Extreme that currently exists. People are comparing it to a 4-core 8-thread version of something like the Ryzen 7 6600U or 6800U. So it'd be like a cut down 6800U because that's an 8-core 16-thread. So it's like they took away some of the processing power, but kept the GPU portion. The CPU compute, they got rid of some of it. They halved it, basically. And they kept the same GPU compute, though, which is good because the Steam Deck runs on 4-core 8-thread, and it's fine. And it works out for the most part in a lot of modern games. But having a little more GPU headroom, instead of having 10 CUs, having 12, pretty cool. But I'm more excited about the Legion Go 2 than the Legion Go S for sure, because I already have a regular Legion Go. I don't really need the screen amenities of the Legion Go S with worse specifications or the same specifications when I could be looking towards a bump in specifications or looking towards more ergonomic controls, which, once again, way more important to me. I think that's very cool. These are like the 3 most cool things I was looking at when it came to CES. If there's any stuff from CES you thought was really cool, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm sorry I haven't posted in like 2 fucking weeks. I was sick. My bad, bro. Maybe I'll just post some random gameplay next time. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for hanging out, watching, big time vibing. You guys have... I was gonna do a stream outro. That's not what we're looking to do. I haven't done this in a while. Anyways, this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTubes, yapping about the handhelds / tech I thought was the coolest from CES 2025. Signing out and saying peace.